Hello, welcome to Feedback for the week of January 24th, 2011. I'm joined by Stephen Johnson.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Terrific. How about you?
Was that forced or are you having a good day?
No, I'm having a great day.
Was that forced or are you having a good day?
No, it was forced.
This could go on for a long time.
Kevin Kelly, how about you?
Good day. Very good day.
Good day. And Abby Heavy.
Excellent.
All right. No leg braces or anything like that.
Yeah, I have a leg brace.
All right, you have a leg brace. Yes.
But you can't tell when it's under the
I
table.
know, I know. It's the illusion of
It's actually
television.
kind of weird
But
sitting in this chair with
our
it.
watchers may not know Abby was Stephen
I'm
King.
immune to
She was
vans.
the victim
Yeah.
of a van.
I know.
Yeah.
Abby got hit by a van. We are very happy to know that she is just fine.
I am fine.
I heard that Abby is so hardcore that van is now totaled.
It's in like
Yeah.
20 pieces.
Yep.
That,
She beat
that
that
is not
boss.
exactly what
See,
happened.
but yeah, that is something about something like feedback.
I got a lot of jokes about that, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go with it. Like, I can't be killed by vans now.
Yeah.
There's a game in there
Plus
somewhere.
2 against
I
vans.
mean, you're a very specific kind of superhero.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Like
sounds
Frogger jokes.
It's still more interesting than Unbreakable. But,
But
if we had to write the story, you would have to be in a very van-centric world. Like maybe there's a showdown at a UPS like loading dock at the end of it.
Yeah, I could totally
You take on
handle
like
that.
4 vans at
Yeah.
once.
It would be awesome.
I mean, it's of note, her bike was kind of
I was
totaled.
going to say, I can only do
She's
it with
okay.
the help of my
They
bike.
called me Mr. Stamp. Oh God, that movie! It's just like, oh, you want to you want to take lithium by the end of it. It's just miserable.
That describes most of his movies to me.
Yeah, but that one.
But
it's
not at
just
the
like,
end, more like at the beginning and then all the way through.
Well, then you have it through the whole
Yeah,
process.
exactly. Pretty
I
much.
kind of liked it.
All right, so if we were to look at news, it almost reads like a lot of games are going on dates, but no, they're actually being given dates.
It's like the beginning of the year. Let's tell you what we got.
yeah, it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to make a commitment to date more, and all the publishers gave dates to games.
Match.com for games.
The big one, though, from last week, and it wasn't just a date, it also got a price, Nintendo's 3DS.
Yep.
Give me the stats, Abby.
It's coming out on March 27th. The retail price will be $249.99, which is actually is it lower than the $300 we sort of
Yeah,
thought
didn't
it
Matt
would
say
be getting?
$299 for sure?
And
It's $250.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's $250. How much did the Wii go for?
when it
$250.
first launched, $250.
Yeah, $250, and then like really, I mean, what the Xbox was $300.
Yeah, down to $199 though now.
Right. I mean, you're just that's.
So
I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't important tech inside of this thing, but just average consumer, if it's smaller than something there, it just doesn't seem to correlate. I mean,
It's kind of heart attack inducing for me. My phone was kind of expensive, and I took really good care of it for a long time. But then you always have those moments where it just falls out of your hand,
All
and
the
you kind of
time.
crap your pants as it's hurtling towards the floor. I can't imagine doing that with my 3DS.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's well. Also, here's the part that I think is even
we'll get
less
you a bumper.
impressive from Nintendo.
That comes with it?
Abby, what are the launch games?
They don't know.
Yeah.
I like that setup, but I don't know.
You know when I was bitching about Steve Ballmer,
Yes.
which I also wanted to point out, the man was reading off a teleprompter when he decided to say they sold, that many Kinects, and then had to say no, they shipped that many Kinects. Here's another thing: if you're going to make an announcement and haul the press out to New York, where I understand it was quite cold, and
It does get cold
Yeah.
in the eastern states.
yes, and you give a date and you give a rather remarkable price for a new handheld device, and then you get wishy-washy on the games that are going to be the defining element for said system. Doesn't that just seem a little, well, wrong? I mean, wait until you get all your, wait. I
Yeah.
mean, it just strikes me as just kind of unreasonable. Now, the one thing that we do know, though, is that 2 of the bigger games, Kid Icarus and the revamp of Ocarina of Time, will make it by June, which means
Right.
they're definitely not making it at launch. And I bet one of them doesn't even make it by June, because when Nintendo decides to say it might make it by a certain point, you can add on another 3 to 6 months.
That must mean some of these game developers are working down to the last minute to get these titles ready
Well,
for
Which
the
means,
launch.
well, I mean, who knows
Yeah,
when they
plus
actually
there's
got the
also a lot
tech?
of third
That's
party, game.
I mean,
who knows?
it just. I mean, look, I'm surmising this, but by doing it by March 27th, you get a few sales that would really spike. That helps round out the financial year.
Yeah.
And it's.
And you also can't. I mean, granted they don't show off the 3D capable, but there are a lot of games for the DS, so I'll already have like a log of things that I can play in the meantime while I'm waiting for the other games to come out.
See, they're counting on you.
I know.
Yeah.
But I buy every DS. I'm
yeah.
such a sucker for it.
I just ran about this on my soapbox. There's actually some things I even forgot. Is that in the marketing of this, it's very hard for them to actually show the selling point.
It's true.
That, I mean, I can imagine an average person that is not one of us and follows all this stuff is a little bit skeptical when it's like 3D without the glasses.
Yeah, well, how were you supposed to show it on the TV?
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
a 3D
every video
network.
has that burn-in at the bottom. 2D image of a 3D
Please
game.
imagine this
So
in 3D.
exactly. It's like it's cool. Just pretend.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, you got to imagine that when the things are actually available, they'll send out so many demo units to every retail outlet. You know what I'm saying? Just
That's
what I would
and
do.
they say they're going to do the
Yeah.
tour, and people are going to see it, and people are going to. There's going to be that word of mouth. But I mean, there's still a few things that 3D isn't as big as we thought it was going to be at this point because no one bought those TVs.
Right. But this is more exciting because it doesn't have glasses. And I mean, this is something that my family asked me about when I was home and like, oh, when is this coming out? That's so exciting. And I'm like, you don't even play games.
Well,
like,
that's
you don't
good.
even, you're just excited about it because it's this new, cool sounding thing.
That's like the Wii, though, too. I mean, that was
Yeah.
the hype of
And
with
they
the
bought
Wii.
one of those that they never used again.
Well, and I'm wondering to what extent that might play a role because, as I said in the soapbox, I can hear many a mother out there. It's like, well, we got that Wii, but we don't play that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other is, I still think that they shouldn't have called it the 3DS, as we were talking about in a previous feedback.
But it works so well.
But
It's a
so,
oh, wait,
but
where's
so
the
many things are called DS. How many moms can you can hear it right in your head? Well, don't we already have one of those DSs?
Yeah. The fat, the light, the XL, the eye.
It's like, I just see some real uphill struggles for them. And then I don't remember, have they made a statement that they don't expect to have enough at launch?
I read a story today that said some smaller Japanese retailers may not stock the 3DS at launch. I haven't heard about North America yet, but
I mean,
I
that's
imagine we'll
another
hear
thing.
something about that.
So maybe not a strong and probably not a strong game lineup at launch, shortages, and then all these other things. I mean, I feel that Nintendo, since the success of the Wii, feels that they could. I've always wanted to do it as a sketch. The Nintendo thing. We don't know what it is, but we know you'll buy it. That I think if they did this 3 years ago, no problem whatsoever. It should be
I feel like if they can get the Street Fighter 3DS version ready for launch, that's going to be a console selling title.
Yeah. And the shame about that, which is what I've talked about with Matt Kyle, is he's really excited about it, is that unfortunately, unlike Japan, we don't kind of exist in the same place where everybody has one. And so all those kind of sharing between DS stuff, like, I really hope that enough people have one that, you can use that functionality. But
and it's
I know
an
that
easy to
he is
use
really,
functionality, which is
but I know
because you
that
don't
he
have to
is-
do anything.
he
You
is
just put it in your bag and you're
really
it's on.
hoping. I mean, he wants to carry his with him for a few months and see, like, if he, the percentage of people that actually use the feature. But
the
in
freeway, would
airports
that be?
or I don't know, but like in airports or at conventions. But like that's such a cool feature, and yet
is.
like I don't think that the DS is ingrained enough in our culture that a lot of people will be able to take advantage.
I wonder
of
how
it.
long it has to be in proximity to that other DS. Is it just a matter of seconds? But is it 5 minutes?
I don't know.
We were on the
Remember
the subway in Tokyo, and so many people, kids and adults, had their DS out playing them.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some crazy device
We
in the
don't see that
90s
here.
that you put on that helped you find other like-minded people?
Yes.
Or like it was like Match.com, but it was in some kind of like a sticker thing, or
Yeah, I vaguely
it was like a
remember
mood
that,
ring,
yeah.
but it it linked up with other people.
I had a
And now you
Japanese
can just have
device
sort
that
of like
did
a
that.
Tamagotchi thing that's like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So look how far we've come.
So we'll see. We'll see. The one thing I want to touch on, because I don't want to revamp my entire soapbox, Kid Icarus. I know. I mean, I'm very excited to play this game, though I had to kind of be realistic with myself. I don't know if I so much want to play another Kid Icarus as I just want to be the kid who had the dexterity and the patience to play the classic Kid Icarus. That it was only that one game. And I can't believe I actually got to the end of it, because I've gone back to try to play it. And
Now's
it's so
your
freaking
chance to
hard.
try again.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll make it as difficult again. I mean, it's a remake, right, in 3D,
Is
or
it
is
a
it a sequel?
reimagining?
Do they
Reimagining,
include the
rebooting.
classic one on
repackaging?
there?
That would be great if they
That
did.
would be really cool.
Yeah, maybe it's just a remake of the original.
Because I bought like
Kids
the
today wouldn't be able to handle
I bought the
original.
Bubble Bubble
All
that
right?
came out for DS a few years ago.
'Cause it
Only
came
to
with the
play the
old-
classic version.
yeah.
Not I barely even played
I
the
wish more
newer
games
revamped
did that.
version.
Okay.
I did that with Tron, the Tron Game Boy Advance. I just bought it recently, the old one, because it comes with Tron arcade game on it.
Yeah.
So, the next game to get a date is the game that was never going to get a date until just recently, and now it has a date. What is it?
Duke Nukem Forever.
And when is it?
May 3rd.
Oh my, May 3rd. I mean,
And I
it's-
know the note is it's really happening, but I think so. I mean, at PAX East, we saw it. They said beginning of the year. That's the release
the
date.
fact-
Video. I'm putting my faith in that. At this point.
I am too. I think the other is, and I kind of made a little bit of fun of the fact that they didn't have a date when they announced it, because it's like, when you finally announced that you somehow about to salvage the game that was never going to come out, like Reggie and everybody at Nintendo, you might want to have the date with it. But, now they have a date. This is one that just obviously cannot slip. It just would be the nightmare.
Disaster if
But
that
like there were pre-orders taken in like when were the first pre-orders on Duke Nukem taken? Like 2001, 2002.
good
You know what I'm saying?
question.
I've
Like
always wondered about that because I've seen some games. I forget what game it was. It might have been like God of War 3, but like somebody started pre-orders on it like 2 years before. Like it didn't even really have a solid release date. I always wonder who that person is because if I did that, I would forget.
yeah,
I,
would
you know,
lose
I
the,
still have my
receipt.
pre-order for The Lost from Irrational. I mean,
Wow.
when that... No, I don't. I just thought I was just going to just reference that because, you know, now you can make fun
I would
of
like
them
to think
'cause-
that the GameStop still has your $5 sitting there. Like,
with interest.
do you think he'll come back for it? It's not like a
hope you
pawn
don't.
shop, Adam. You can't get the interest and the...
So I think the question is, I'm getting increasingly confident that I think Duke Nukem might sell well. I think that, especially with May, they now have some time to kind of build up some interest. It's got wonderful story that the mainstream press can latch onto. And you know what? That trailer wasn't too bad.
No, and it feels like this game could kind of come out and suck and it would still be a hit because it's just
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah.
It's got word of mouth, and whether it's positive or not, it doesn't almost matter because everybody's made such a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
I think the people that don't even understand why they care still somehow care because so many other people are talking about it.
But
Plus, it looks
it's just-
fun.
that's the thing, is that Bulletstorm has a touch of
Past
this as well.
that.
But
Forget that.
it's
I
a
know.
silly game. When was the last time there was a silly shooter? You know, something that doesn't take itself that seriously.
That's what's awesome about it.
I mean,
it's
that's
not
the
like
thing.
all blacks and grays and like,
This-
oh, it's very intense and
This
violent
game
and,
may have just by sheer coincidence have found the right moment to launch itself because we're in such a slate of dour,
We
self-serious
need it.
shooters.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it's
Serious Sam tried to get there but just didn't quite make it.
and that was 2000.
Well, they had the Serious Sam HD
Remix.
remix
that's just
Palooza
nostalgia.
thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just bringing it back.
Yeah. Okay. Another game that's making a date.
I'm so excited about this one.
Yes.
LA Noire.
Dun, dun, dun.
May 17th for North America, and I'm just incredibly excited about that.
Well, and they picked the same week that Red Dead
Red Dead
Redemption
came out.
I mean,
They've definitely found a good, solid release window that they appear to be sticking to.
just like say EA just did with Dead Space, which is the same release week that they put Mass Effect 2 out in, which did just gangbusters for it. And, there is this pattern that seems to be emerging.
And I get it because I mean I want a game. I want games at the beginning of the year because I've already finished all my other ones.
and it's May, and it's right before Memorial Day, and I don't go to barbecues
Yeah, May's
because I'm
perfect.
afraid of meat. No, I'm not. I
No, you're
love
not.
meat,
You
but
are
I'm
not.
yes, but just when other people cook it. Okay, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No.
That's a complete lie.
So instead of getting drunk and eating barbecue, you're going to be on the gumshoe beat solving crimes and everything.
So is LA Noire going to be a tough sell? Tougher than Red Dead?
That's a good question.
I
Yes.
can't tell. You think so?
I think it's going to be a tough sell. I think it's going to be tougher than Red Dead because when people say 1940s detective noir, a lot of people are like, huh?
Well,
Where
I
when
mean,
people
but-
say cowboy, it's like, yes. Like you shoot. I
See,
get
but,
it.
but Stephen, you and I are old.
I know.
And I know people that are like cowboy western. I mean, they think of Gary Cooper boring them to tears when their parents made them sit through High Noon.
Did that happen to you?
That was me. That was me. Sorry. But I see what you're saying. But I can't figure out if because I thought Red Dead was going to be a tough sell.
Yeah,
And
but
it was
wasn't.
not at all.
No,
people just bought that.
it's
Good word. Good word of mouth. I had people asking me about that game like months after release. Like, should I pick that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you should.
now.
It
I
was
mean,
great.
and then how strong is from the makers of Red Dead Redemption? I mean,
Giant.
that's what I'm wondering about is that people will just throw their trust.
And those
into it.
trailers keep wowing everyone when they come out with the facial.
The tech is impressive.
It's really
The
impressive.
trailers
new
are
one
impressive.
is cool.
It is cool.
I mean, no sense of gameplay yet, but
I know.
I
It's just
wonder
going to be
if
one
that
long
lead
trailer.
actor is actually strong enough to carry a whole game. You know what I'm saying?
oh, that one voice.
Yeah. What is the?
I forgot his
from
real name.
Mad
The guy
Men,
who
yeah.
plays Ken Cosgrove on
yes,
Mad Men.
Yes.
I don't know. Like I'm a little bit leery as to whether that actor is a lead man.
Like
and
if
not
he's enough of a
character
name
actor.
or
Yeah.
something?
No, not that way. Whether
just his
he'll-
ability.
Whether his performance will be good enough, because that usually doesn't matter in video games. But in this one, with the new motion capture technology, that's actually going to matter. Like how good of an actor
Yeah.
are the people who
The
read the
crazy
lines?
part about the whole way that they're doing the voice capture stuff, though, is that so all the people in game actually look sort of like their real life person that's doing the voice. So I know that I'm going to inevitably be sitting there with my phone and like IMDb and just going like, oh man, that guy looks like that person, and like it's going to kill me the entire way through.
It's Lance Henriksen.
Everyone, I'm just going to say everyone's Lance Hendrickson.
Just like when Abby and I don't know something that's on one of the TVs here for E, we just assume they're from the hills, and 80% of the time we're correct. I've decided if I can't recognize someone in a game, it's Lance Henriksen.
Mm-hmm.
Or Nolan North at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say Nolan North.
Yeah, but I always recognize
bet,
Nolan North.
My default is
He
Clint
should be in the
Howard.
game. Clint Howard. He should,
even when we
he should
were-
transition to video games.
Even when we were seeing the demo, I was like, that person looks like, and they're like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't remember their name.
Oh, it's
At least
just,
they're employing them.
Okay, so what's our final game to go on a date?
Mortal Kombat,
Mortal Kombat. When's it come out?
April 19th.
I don't know. What do you think significant about that?
The date? Was that Gears
That's
original?
around
Was that
the
the
time
Gears
of the
3
anniversary of the
original?
San Francisco earthquake. I know that. I think that's the 14th.
Was that the date Gears 3 was supposed to have
Ooh.
It's right after
before it got
tax time.
shifted? It is right after tax
Heaven, I
time.
think you might be onto
I
something
think
there.
that's the original date.
We could look it up on our phones right now. No, don't look at your phones.
I've seen the game. I mean, I'm just not much of a fighting game guy because I suck at them. It has nothing to do with the games themselves. But I kind of like what they're doing by kind of going, hey, sometimes 3D doesn't work or 3D space.
Yeah.
And man, when you kick someone or hit them in the nads, and you see that, I mean, it's like, ooh.
And it gets visceral. This one has some really over-the-top fatalities.
I'm
which
glad
are
they're
awesome.
bringing that kind of stuff back.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
that's the
fitting with that,
strength
they're
of
bringing in
their-
Kratos for the PS3 version.
Yeah, but nobody exclusive for... I mean, what about, like, Marcus from Gears of War
Yeah,
or
it's
something?
hard to think like you couldn't find like a brutal slaughter.
Totally. I
still
Or maybe
think-
Microsoft wouldn't play ball. Who
And I know
knows?
Warner's wouldn't do it, but I think, in honor of Elena Kagan's comment during the Supreme Court hearings, that every clerk for the Supreme Court of the United States should be sent a complimentary copy of Mortal Kombat because they've already been playing it. So I just,
All
You,
right.
you probably just planted that seed. It's a great idea.
yeah. So well,
I hope that happens. That'd be
I think
hilarious.
they should.
She'll
All right.
actually play it.
So there we go. Release dates, prices, stuff. Our
Things
next
to look
story
forward to.
is Valve related and Portal 2. What is it, Abby?
So they sent a press release this weekend saying that you'll be able to generate your own user-generated content on the PC, and that content will then be available on the PS3 and Xbox, which
That's-
is really cool. You won't be able to create it there, but you'll be able to play stuff that other people have created.
That's not bad. I mean, I think trying to create stuff and on the 360 or the PS3
Yeah.
might prove to be difficult.
Of course, there's the question of distribution because I don't know how you would access
On the
that
360.
content.
Yeah. I mean, but no. This. I mean, then this is
I
following on the
assume we'll hear
heels
more
of
detail-
their announcement
details.
of that. The PS3, you get a complimentary PC version that's concurrent with your PS3 version. I mean, it's
which
all,
is amazing.
Great news
I mean,
for the
that's
PS3,
amazing.
yeah.
I mean, Valve seems to be kind of getting meta.
Yeah.
I mean, are they getting meta?
they are. Seeing them on the console,
Or Omni.
even if
They're
it's just
getting
one,
Omni.
is great.
I think there's a quote from
Omni-meta.
someone at Valve that said that like we're not giving two copies of the game; it's the same game.
Yeah.
You just get to play it in two places, which
Right.
is very meta,
Which
very
is good.
Omni.
Especially if you were Ron Silver in Time Cop. You could play both versions simultaneously unless that could end the world.
Or if you were Clint Howard in Evil Speak,
Those two versions could not
Yes.
could never touch each other.
which I just had to mention because I told Frank I would.
We need one more Clint Howard reference throughout the
I hope
rest
Frank
of the
just
show.
gives you a random thing to add into each feedback, and then you find a way to do it.
How many people are hitting pause right now to go to IMDb and just figure out who this Clint Howard fella
And
is?
as soon
You
as they
don't
see his
need to
face, they're like,
anymore.
"Oh,
It's Ron Howard's brother. He was in Evil Speak.
If they're watching it, chances are they're on a computer and could do it right there.
When is Portal 2 coming out? Has that been pushed to
that
April
is
as well?
April. It is April.
Maybe
Is it the 19th?
Hey,
It's
maybe
this
it's the
vortex
same day
of days.
as Mortal Kombat and Portal.
I know it's the 19th. Is it? It's not April Fool's Day or near that, is it?
No, I don't think it's April Fool's Day.
They're going to totally screw us all. Oh, also
April.
the game is going to have. They told us this today too. The game will have two alternate endings. The single
Right.
player will have its own ending. Co-op will have its own ending that promises to be awesome. And I think they were pointing out that the ending of Portal 2 or Portal, which is on YouTube, has over 5 million views. Someone posted the end because it was
Yeah.
so popular.
It was an awesome ending.
It was, and I guess we'll have something. I mean, we know Jonathan Colton's written another song for this.
Yeah. I mean,
Has he written two
it's not like
songs?
you even need that to get to the end of
One for
Portal,
each ending.
but it's even a better reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Absolutely.
so bad news for our next story.
Yeah, Bizarre Creations is shutting down. They made Project Gotham Racing and most recently Blur. And it's 200 employees. Activision had put them up for sale but couldn't find a buyer for them.
It's really a shame because, I mean, Project Gotham Racing was really kind of a nice breath of fresh air when it first came out because, I mean, Gran Turismo was kind of like the defining. It's like, all right, everything's going to be realistic and
Yeah.
realistic without damage. And then this was kind of like, Was it? I can't remember when the first one came out. Was that with the Xbox?
The original Xbox? Yeah.
I thought it was 2006.
So I think that they were doing that drifting thing
Sounds-
before I got to G4, and they were all into the drifting thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think we had 3 shows about drifting at one point.
We did.
I tried to pitch one called Drift Cops, and it goes, they fight crime sideways.
Nice.
And, you know, as with most of my good ideas.
I tried to pitch a show about drifting, but it was about drifters.
See, I did that. For,
not as lighthearted, really.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and they had the drifting mode. I went and I dressed up in my jammies, and I had a little knapsack. And
Nice.
It was actually a really funny segment, except the camera kind of didn't.
It's like
capture.
hobos who play video
It was like,
games.
all you
every
saw
night.
was this incredible beamer spinning around, and you saw my little hobo bag sticking out of the window, like fighting for its dear life.
Centrifugal force, no.
Yes, hats off to Shane Satterfield, who's now over at Game Trailers, who produced that segment with me.
Yay. The other one too is at Propaganda, which is the studio behind Tron Evolution and Turok. Is also closing.
I mean, that one was unfortunate. I mean, the movie did not turn out financially, and the game really didn't get to be bolstered by the movie's successes.
But what's really weird about that whole story is the only thing. I mean, Turok was not good, but when we all saw at E3 Pirates of the Caribbean, Armada of the Damned, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I was
looked
going to
good.
say.
And they canceled
everybody
that
was,
game.
you know,
There seemed
giving
to
it positive
be.
feedback.
I mean, I don't know. Disney seems to be in a moment of flux right now. I mean, they've had a lot of management changes, and I think more so than just in the interactive department, that they bet the bank on Tron.
Yeah.
And I don't know if really they created themselves a long-standing franchise. I mean, I could spend an hour detailing what they did wrong with that movie, but Disney.
And then for the next hour, Adam will detail Tron.
I mean,
We can all donate.
I didn't bother to go see it. It made sense within about a week of it coming out. I realized I didn't feel obliged anymore to see it like I did Avatar.
They took
because
us
I
all to
needed
see it. You didn't come with us. We all went.
I was on vacation.
Yeah, he was gone. He checked out.
I had checked out.
I know.
I was watching like a French movie. Because that's what I do when I'm on vacation.
Subtitled.
Yeah.
You can read my review on G4 TV. I'll link it to this
I
feedback.
need something black and white from the 60s.
I enjoyed it.
People look good. They still smoke cigarettes.
They weren't computer generated like Jeff Bridges is in half of this movie.
No.
I thought Tron was okay, but it was no evil speak.
There was not enough Clint Howard in
he
Tron
paying
Evolution.
While I was out over
Clint
the
Howard is
holiday
paying.
time, I would like to point out that the movie that I saw, which was absolutely incredible, Rolling Vengeance. Only one actor of note in it, Ned Beatty. He plays an evil strip club owner. It's kind of like the worst aspects of Roadhouse, and it's a horror movie. It's about a guy that takes revenge with a monster truck.
I didn't know Ned Beatty was still
That's what I call a movie.
Oh, this is old. This is like 1986. Yeah,
I watched Piranhas.
nice.
Piranha.
Piranha
Yeah.
3D.
You know, I didn't hate it.
or-
I actually
It's
kind of
fun.
liked
like
it.
everybody says it was really
There's
good. I gotta
something
check
very
that out.
endearing about
I
it.
love the
Plus,
first
it's got
Piranha.
lots of boobs in it, so there's another
There are
bonus.
so many.
All right.
I understand why.
sold.
I understand why a lot of my friends have been like, "I love it," and I'm like, "Did
Lots
you?"
of not
Can
on
you
a
tell
bridge.
me what the plot of the movie is, or did you just?
You know,
Google it?
And
when I was
Killer fish.
12, part of the purpose of a horror movie was this kind of
Totally.
non-obvious way to see movies.
Yeah.
Because Porky's, you were kind of laying your cards on the table, but you could hide behind the gore and violence when you watched the Friday the 13th movie.
That's true.
And you knew if you saw the girl's boobs, she was soon to
And then-
die.
well,
Yeah,
that was
and
the
then, but
other thing.
this is also not like one of those like, "Oh, we're gonna show you a flash of." This was like, "All right, that's
Right.
like 10 minutes."
That's why
boobs.
anybody of my generation knows the most significant of the Friday 13th movies is also the worst. 5, A New Beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Largest naked breast count in all of the Friday 13th. Some of them are far more chaste than you would realize. 6, Jason Lives.
Our,
that's what
our
I'm saying.
audience
You're
is
right.
going to Netflix watch Instant right now to see if that's
You're all
something.
going to be
ripoff,
fighting
man.
against each other
Yeah.
for who can rent it on Netflix first.
What
Okay.
a ripoff when you rent one of those movies and there's no. You're
I
like,
know.
I was.
Well,
there was an
Steven Johnson's
understanding
Piranha.
between me
Let's
and
put it this way. The Canadian television show Bizarre at least could get me one pair every episode.
With John Biner, Bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And
I mean,
Super
I
Dave
guess-
and Super Dave Osborne.
I could say the same thing about Dream On, which was just the biggest waste of a half hour. Bizarre was actually kind of worth watching, kind of. It was probably because
and
it's Canadian.
just very quickly for my money, Mausoleum. The woman's boobs become monsters that kill people in that film. So if you've never seen Mausoleum, there's your bang for the
right
buck.
to the top of my Netflix.
And after you watch that, go ahead and treat yourself to a Ken Russell movie.
yeah, Larry the White Worm.
And then you're like,
oh my God.
screw acid, I just did that to myself. All right, and our final story, Blizzard.
All right. Sorry.
the
So
rudest
Blizzard
digression ever.
is allowing the fan-made World of StarCraft to continue. They said they did a release. They said we're also curious about the project and want to discuss with the developer what the mod entailed. And they look forward to seeing the continued development of it. However, they will likely have to change their name.
Yeah. I knew. This is one of these stories that came out, and everyone just wanted to turn Blizzard into the biggest killjoy, and it's like. Okay, this is reasonable for them to inquire.
Well, they also invited them to the campus to meet the team,
it's great.
It's beyond reasonable for them to inquire. I mean, they're legally obligated to protect the trademark that they must have on World of StarCraft. They can't let someone else use the name, so everybody should just shut up. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's like.
Are people really upset that they would make them change the name?
I know it seems unfair because
they were upset when they took down the YouTube videos, basically.
Because I'm working on my home project, Deadest Space, but those are two different things. It's just like they're not that similar. But see, they want to continue it. They like nurturing the fan community. It's just it's kind of like. Don't go.
But if this had been ironically just an Activision game, Activision probably would have just canceled it outright. Blizzard's response was pretty cool, and everyone was like, "Hey, awesome, Blizzard!" But if I had Call of Duty 5 or something that I was developing, I'm sure I would get a cease and desist letter 5 seconds after I put it on the internet. So,
World of Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my new game, COD. It's about fish. What are you talking about?
World of Duty Craft. It's really fun. You play this kind of middle-aged divorced woman, and you're making pottery and some macaroni necklaces.
User-created content.
I made World of Duty, but that's different than Call of Duty.
No, I don't want to hear about it.
Oh, then there's Call of Booty. That you'll be seeing that late night on Cinemax.
Duty.
I'm sure. Do you think that's probably like a porn that already exists? Somebody in
Call of
in the
Booty.
valley
I
has to
would
have
be
thought
ashamed
that by
if
now.
I imagine we have some people in the adult entertainment industry that watch this show. Could one of you just confirm that someone has taken that? Because if not, we may have to just figure out.
What video game related? There's World of Horcraft, but what else is there?
Yeah.
Which is real, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's not a joke. That's true.
There needs to be more video game. They make the movies that are
what
kind
would
of
you
like
have called it?
porn.
I didn't ever think of that one. That's pretty good.
I was going to make an adult Portal, and I was just going to call it Portal.
You'll be hearing from Valve tomorrow.
I know, exactly. Don't sue me. I'm just joking, you guys.
You could call it Steamy Portal.
Oh.
No.
Sorry,
That's okay.
So bad.
I trademarked left for penis. So.
Wow.
All right. On that,
Speaking of
I
Dead
have
Space.
no way to make this transition work.
I was thinking you had the Deadest Space thing, but then you
Yeah,
lost
Dead
it.
Space 2.
Speaking of
Game of the
penis.
week. Last week it was Little Big Planet. Dead Space 2. This is not that bad. This is not like what it was last year, which was quite remarkable in the first part of the year. I think all of us played a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm at the final chapter.
Yeah,
Isn't-
I burned through about 6 hours or so.
Here's my first thing about Dead Space. And this is, I just played the entirety of the first one recently
Yes.
because I just want to kind of catch up. This is really well produced. I mean, it is a slick package that just doesn't really have graphical flaws, and like the transitions from cutscene to game are really solid. I mean, it is one thing I have to hand over to Visceral. That it's just a what?
I had one thing. It was
What?
really funny. I was getting killed. Okay, so I was really, 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 really low on health. And I think it might have been a stalker that got me, but at the same time that the stalker hit me, I killed the stalker. So it still did my death animation with nobody around me.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing, he grabs your arm and he like pulls you off. So I was getting dragged off by
By
thin
nothing?
air.
Oh,
it was
wow.
kind of cool. I didn't see anything else like
Poltergeist.
that. That one made me laugh so hard.
Well, but it's also just like there seems to be a presentational quality to the Dead Space games.
Yeah.
That's just it's just like whoa. And as a result, it's really easy to sit down and play them for a lot of hours. Even though I think we might all agree, this isn't the most remarkable game out there.
It's not. I mean, yeah, they give you more of what you liked about the first one. I thought there were some pretty remarkable things about it. Like you said, the graphics were amazing. The fact that you get to see and hear Isaac this time around, his face and his voice.
Says a lot.
He does cuss quite a bit.
Yeah.
He gets some comical. There's a couple of slightly comical moments. The new and improved guidance system by looking at the button on the back of your hand, you can now find save spots, stores, benches, and your objective, which I thought was a great
I
change.
love that.
It was perfect.
it
More
really
games
was
need
nice.
something.
Well, and then the other
similar.
is the way that they changed the zero gravity.
Much better.
Bravo! That's I
Yep.
mean, yeah, it's nowhere near as disorienting, and like just having a button to just
Just
realign
orient you,
me with
yeah.
the floor. Yeah, it just
I really enjoyed the zero gravity levels.
Yeah.
They did some cool stuff with it too. Like, well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but the objects you can use in zero gravity that you have to interact with and make things happen was a cool.
And I didn't
little
feel lost.
change.
I still had a good idea, like what I was supposed to do when I was in
Yeah,
them and
exactly.
where I was going. And
It is, and also, the puzzles are solvable without them holding your hand. It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it's there's all these wonderful little things that they've tweaked up. I think the thing is that there is something too familiar sometimes from the original Dead Space.
I kind of felt like I was playing Bioshock 2 again.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
know what you
kept like
mean.
if it's really reminiscent, especially like I felt like I was playing a lot of horror games. Like I'm like, oh, going through the nursery, but especially just going through all the different parts of the station. But like now that you're seeing a more fleshed out world where sort of everything that you would need to exist in that world is there, you're kind of going through a lot of those same areas. And
Yeah.
I don't, maybe it's a children aspect that immediately makes me think of Bioshock.
No, but it's also that
2.
idea that something that seems artificially happy, but you're in a horror thing.
Right.
That
well,
is done
obviously,
quite
and a certain
frequently.
amount of the look of it because it's very stylized. I just and not really in a bad way. I mean, I enjoyed BioShock 2. It didn't have the same thrill as the original for me.
Right.
Just like this sort of didn't have that same thing. But I thought they did a lot better in many aspects of it.
There's some wonderful and strong improvements. I still think Dead Space has some of the most satisfying combat you're going to find.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
when you're taking things off and it's good, it's easy to aim and it's just
I
satisfying to
use the
take off
Ripper
limbs.
so
Right.
much still.
I mean, I could probably play that entire game just with a plasma cutter and be quite happy
That's
with it.
my favorite
Because it
weapon.
is
That and the
such a
pulse
strong-
rifle.
not the Ripper.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Ripper.
I haven't bought it. That's one thing that I
It's
was
the
kind
best
of.
one.
Didn't you get a little annoyed with the inventory juggling that you have to do
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
in the game? That kind of gets
It's
to you.
I look. There's a reason for survival horror because you want to have that sense of tension. They do have these really neat weapons in the game, and you're so frequently getting new weapons that you also want to try out. That it became. And then we have the power nodes. You have so few of those. That's like, well, I don't want to invest my power nodes in a weapon if I don't think I'm going to want
Yeah.
it 2 hours from now.
It's very much gearing you up for the second playthrough when you
I know.
have
It's-
more
it is-
access to
Yeah.
everything. You have more money. You have. I mean, I haven't beaten it. I'm assuming that it works like the first
would have
one, where
to.
you get a ton of money and all of a sudden you can really upgrade everything and go
Yes.
through again.
That's
And
the constant difficulty of the survival horror genres is balancing the need that players have for empowerment with the need that horror has for weakness.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
and I thought that this game walked it pretty well. But at some points, I mean, I haven't finished the game, but I felt like I'm like pretty powerful guy,
Right.
which this is not scary. I
Yeah.
can just take anybody out that comes
You know,
around.
it-
you know?
and I think it's things that they did right actually caused more of the issue because I really wanted to try out their new weapons. They looked neat, they looked creative, they looked inventive. In something more like a Resident Evil, nothing seems all that exciting on the weaponry side. So it's like, if this thing's working for me, then it's going to keep on. I'm just going to stay with it.
Sure.
Here, it's just like, oh God, you're promising me some experimentation, but you're at the same time you're kind of pushing me away from it.
Yeah.
I think also its emphasis on using stasis in this game versus the
Yeah.
other one. You want to have some of those stasis packs, and so you're taking up slots I didn't even bother with stasis packs in the original Dead Space.
They did also add it's called respec
Yes.
feature where you can take a weapon you're no longer using, put it in the bench, and you get all the power nodes out of it. You have to spend 5,000 credits
Yeah.
to get it, but that
but it's
was
still
a
a
great.
good thing,
that was
yeah.
great. Although it's not unlocked until much later in the game, which I thought was kind of.
Yeah,
It's
kind
not
of
about-
interesting.
really that far.
No, it's after the second disc goes in. This is a 2-disc
Speaking
game.
of,
did
yeah.
that
But
shock
to get through
anyone?
the
That
first
was
disc
weird.
only took me to like that was like 4
Chapter
hours.
6. It was chapter
Of course,
7.
Steve.
Chapter
Yeah.
7
Steve played it on the
That
PS3.
was
I played it on the
hours in.
PS3 and
Where
on
he
the
didn't have to
PS3,
switch.
one disc.
It's true. It was weird having that. Please insert disc 2. I was like, oh crap.
Well,
old
Mass
school.
Effect 2, it kind of made sense. I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, there's a lot of texture detail in this
Yes.
game, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out what exactly was hogging up the space on the DVD. But whatever. I mean, it's not.
Good
I
question
didn't.
for
It's not like
that.
I broke a leg or got hit by a van on my way to the 360 to swap discs out.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry about that. Too soon.
Nice reference. She'll get you later.
One thing our reviewer Brian Stratton wrote, which I do have to agree with, is that the plot has elements not in what happens exactly, but in sort of narrative tricks, narrative aspects
Yeah.
that seem to be unnecessarily repeating stuff from Dead Space 1. And given the new place, because you're on a planet that was once populated with a lot of people, and it was a mall and stuff like that. It seems to be a little bit shoehorned, and if you've already experienced with the first game, you can start to sniff out where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, sure you can. That wasn't my problem with it necessarily. I mean, and this starts right in the beginning, so I don't really consider it much of a spoiler. But sorry if you think it is. But you start seeing, people from your past and everything. I just didn't like the way that was integrated. It's a very jarring thing, which I understand. You always want to get that scare.
Yeah.
But however they did, it just was not scary. And there's so many other things in that game that are tense and scary and cool. But like that main thing that's supposed to be like, oh, that's horrifying. Not really.
I think it's because in having suddenly have Isaac have a voice and talk, they suddenly had to create more story to go with it.
A narrative.
And it felt,
And
definitely
they run the risk of
forced in.
over-explaining
Right.
like aspects.
I mean, it's like, I get it, you're dead.
The more at the end, and this really isn't a spoiler, but Dead Space, I have always thought is more like it's like a disaster movie with monsters.
Yeah.
And that disaster movie really creeps into this one as well, where it's that kind of Gilligan's Island thing, like, yeah, we're about to
now
get off
that's
the
not
island.
working.
That plan failed.
That was not working now.
Skipper.
Although,
No, I mean Gilligan, little buddy.
The one scene that I thought was I thought it was really cool, especially in opening the game and giving you a sense for the and showing you that it will still have some surprises left. Was I thought right in the beginning when you're sort of upside down and you're just sort of having to fend for yourself in midair was really cool. I admit that one got my adrenaline.
Well, right
I
at
love
the beginning,
environments that you could understand. Like I love the fact that like it takes place in human environments as opposed to like ships.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a big sci-fi guy, like we've talked about before.
Pew pew.
But this didn't have that
You
feeling.
hate the present.
Because like once you're in a hospital, you're in a hospital. Like you get it, whether it's a space hospital or a hospital
Not
from
in
now.
my future hospital. There you're gonna float.
Jetpacks to
Steven,
room.
we call those medical bays.
I guess, but to your
You just
point, I
suddenly shrank.
really like.
Steven just went down like
I
a foot.
totally shrank. Sorry,
There's a new
everybody.
feature. If Adam doesn't like what you're
really
saying,
bad
you get lower.
Every time you bitch about sci-fi, we take off an inch. Okay?
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
See what you
There's
don't
someone under the
realize
table
because of how
hobbling
we
him
sit
right
here.
now.
Stephen Johnson doesn't have a lower half.
Yeah, exactly. I am just simply chest up. That's
He's
it.
like that guy from that movie Kids. I got no legs.
I got no legs.
Or
no
Isaac.
way.
Isaac gets torsoed a couple of times.
it's true.
Yeah.
But for my money, that opening scene where, and this is right at the beginning, you see a person become a necromorph right in front of you,
Wonderful.
scared the crap out of me.
Terrific.
And then the opening sequence where you're first controlling Isaac, very scary. I was like, this
Well, and
started
it really
off on the right
it set a
foot.
good mood. When Stephen said he liked the setting, which I did too, like this is this populated place, this made me think, and this is not specific to Dead Space 2, but I think it's something that just horror games may need to consider, is that I'm alone in a place and there are monsters may just be, it's just there's too much. I thought, what an interesting challenge if Visceral or someone else, when putting it in a city, tried to do a horror game, and it is populated.
Yeah.
Something that isn't as familiar. And I think at the end of the day, Dead Space 2 is eminently playable, and I can't wait to go home and finish it tonight. But at the same time, it's not surprising. And I think that, as we were talking about with like shooters and stuff like that, like I want someone to take a chance and just stray from the formula.
There was one part in the game where all of a sudden there was no light, and it was literally just a hallway, but there was no light. And you have your flashlight on the end of the thing, and man, I kind of wish there'd been more of that. And granted,
Yeah.
I have not finished the game. I'm 8 or 9. I don't even know how many chapters in, but like, that's so scary. Like that to me is like really, because I'm like, wow, no, and I can hear the noises and I know that there's things around me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want a lot of the game to be like that because I think that'd be very, very frustrating.
Sadly, it doesn't.
But I almost
it doesn't.
wanted a little bit more of that.
It doesn't come back. I kept thinking that too. They're going to have an all
I
dark
really,
level.
because I really thought that was
It's
a
creepy.
setup
It's
to,
really
like-
creepy.
No, it is.
And I haven't played this yet, but multiplayer impressions.
All the
I-
lobbies
I
were
haven't-
empty for me when I
Yeah.
tried.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we had early copies. Sorry, kids. But I mean, our reviewer, Brian, he actually quite liked it. Said it's very similar to Left 4 Dead, but if you're going to model yourself after something, might as well model yourself after something that's really,
because
really good.
playing a
It sounds pretty
necromorph
cool.
is kind of
Yeah.
a cool idea.
Sounds
I mean, that's been happening a lot in games recently, multiplayer, where you play the creature and stuff. So I'm interested to see it, but I couldn't get on it.
I also
another-
love two things that were kind of unexpected. When we first got our copy, I noticed they have this previously on Dead Space in the menu, and you can watch what happened in both Extraction
on
and
wrong
Dead
preposition.
Space. What?
Previously in Dead
Previously
Space, there's
in-
something on is only
'Cause
for
it's like a TV show.
television. Is it?
On a very special Dead Space.
Episodic
And then they
content.
had, if you had played Ignition, the downloadable free game,
Right.
you unlocked some content for yourself that you could access through the stores, which was kind of cool. I don't know if I found it yet. The
was gonna say,
the
did
old
you-
The old plasma
Well,
cutter.
I got the plasma cutter with the code that came with
Can
the
we
game.
Right.
Can we do a very special Dead Space where Isaac goes to that bike store and Gordon jumps running it, starts to show him videos.
You can do anything you want. Just don't call it Dead Space.
And he has this friend who is also an engineer. His name is Dudley.
They
And
team
something
up.
happens with Dudley.
See, I know
but
what
you
you're
can only
talking
find
about.
out in part 2.
On a very special.
That is the very, very special Different Strokes. Okay, we don't have a ton of time, but I want to get to our question of the week from Atari Prime. I believe we have spoken or read his questions before. Appears to me that developers have pushed the current generation of consoles to their limits. Do you think it's time for the next generation of consoles to start arriving, or do you feel that gamers will be satisfied with the extensions out for current-gen consoles such as Kinect and Move? I do not want another console. I completely agree with just the heads of THQ on this. That is just...
Yeah.
It'll
What
tank
was
the industry.
what was the rule of thumb before? 4 years?
4
5
years,
years?
4
4
years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not ready for another
I'm
console.
not either.
I mean,
I can't think of what I would want that console to do
Exactly.
that my current consoles are not doing. I mean, it's very easy to point out with the Wii that you want HD. It's very easy to... I mean, but Kinect and Move don't necessarily add much to my day-to-day experience using those consoles. They're just sort of an add-on. I mean, maybe I would like my Xbox to have Blu-ray.
That's what I really want.
But
Yeah,
at the
but-
same
but
time, I
that
can't think of
ain't
any
gonna
major.
happen.
I can't think of any major thing that I would want
I can
really
think of a
in a
couple
new
of things,
console.
but the thing is that with all due respect to Atari Prime, I think what people don't understand is that just having the ability of the tech to do something doesn't mean it's going to be realized. The Nintendo Wii should just spell that out. It becomes that much harder because you're raising the ceiling. I would like to have processing that you could have independent AI among all the enemies. But yeah. Then you got to find programmers that are going to do that. And you have to have a dev cycle that's going to make that happen. These are the dangers when you have new tech that everyone doesn't understand, but they also have to meet the satisfactions and interests of everyone out there. I mean, there was a moment where, remember everyone was mocking what the 360 could do because it was supposed to be Xbox 1.5. And, it's such a huge risk. And
It's changed a lot since it first.
Yeah, and that now that we've calmed down, it's like they both are pretty damn good pieces of technology, and I just and they're not leaving me wanting like I think I was wanting in all previous generations.
Yeah.
So we're saying that Atari Prime is on crack.
No, we're not saying he's on crack.
He wasn't giving an opinion. He was just asking.
No,
I was just
Quaaludes.
Man, Steven Johnson, why you gotta be a
Quaaludes.
jerk?
It's interesting though that like in just the last game year of titles, we had Mass Effect 2, we had Uncharted 2, both of which like pushed the boundaries and stuff.
Yeah.
I still feel like they haven't mined the full capabilities of the
Yeah.
current consoles, especially the PS3.
No. And I think the bigger issue is that hopefully there's more incentive to do that with the current generation of consoles rather than like, oh, look, this new console will come and save us. Oh, look, the Red Sea parted.
But then you gotta like if you look at the entire entertainment industry and the way they're pushing 3D TVs and stuff on people, sometimes the innovations are from them and not because the technology needs it. Nobody's asking for 3D. So
exactly. And
it wouldn't surprise me if somebody was like, no, this console's so much more powerful in an attempt to sell it.
And I'm also hopeful that Nintendo, who probably does need to get a new console out there, that by their doing that, that will not suddenly rush the other two to market. That they're so divergent now in who they're trying to appeal to.
I don't know. I'm going to be really actually totally excited to see what the next consoles have and how powerful they are and how much they can do. I really will.
They'll be amazing. I mean,
I think
given
they
how
should
much
be
this
obelisks.
generation
They'll
does,
change
but-
your
Or like a big
I want it to be
pyramid.
this big. No.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Atari Prime, and thank you very much to our panel, Stephen Johnson, Kevin Kelly, Abby Happy. This is feedback for the week of January 24th. Of course, we always go up on G4TV.com every Wednesday. If you haven't figured that out, now you have. Now you have because I told you about it. We will be back next week. Hopefully the game industry will do something completely stupid that we can talk about it, and we'll talk about it and make references to boobies while we're at it.
And Clint
Yeah,
Howard.
yeah.
And
Clint
Clint
Howard's
Howard.
Evil Speak.
Clint Howard. Well, let's say it one more time because it's probably the most mention he's going to get all year. Clint Howard.
Clint Howard. Evil Speak.
Wow, it's a very special Clint
It was a
Howard
very
theme
special
episode.
Clint Howard
sorry,
episode.
everybody.
I'm going to have to find a picture.
Hello there. I'm Adam Sessler, host of X-Play, editor-in-chief at G4TV.com. I talk a lot about video games, and sometimes a camera is in front of me when I'm doing that. We call that Sessler's Soapbox. It takes about 2 minutes of your time, but trust me, you will hear invective and joy and probably a lot of rude things like you've never heard before in the context of video games. I do it for you, so you should check it out. It's up every Tuesday on G4TV.com.